This is trigonometry part 2. This is where it really starts when you can actually start doing stuff with this. Now I have SOHCAHTOA written here, and this means that sine is opposite over the hypotenuse, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent is opposite over adjacent. So let's review with this triangle right here. Let's say that I had this angle here, and I ask you what side, little a, little b, or little c, is the opposite side. Well, the opposite side from this angle would be a. Okay, it opens up to this opposite side here. This angle opens up to it. Now, if I said I had this angle, well, this would be the opposite side. This would be called the hypotenuse. In fact, it's always the hypotenuse. No matter what, it never changes. But if you're looking from this angle, if I give you this angle as 40 degrees here, this is opposite, this is adjacent, and that's the hypotenuse. And if you're here, this is still the hypotenuse, but this is what side? I ask you. Go ahead and blurt it. It would be the adjacent side, and this is the opposite side. A is opposite that. So you have to know which is which. So let's do a simple problem on a basic little generic triangle, and then we'll do like a word problem. All right, let's do this. Let's say I give you, just throwing this out there, that's 50 degrees. And let's say that we know that our hypotenuse is 7 inches long, and we want to find side B. So it says B equals question mark. Okay? We want to find out how long that side is based on this information right here. I'm going to liberate you with the sine, cosine, and tangent, and you'll be able to figure this stuff out from now on. Okay, here's how you do it. There's 2 steps in trigonometry. You have to figure out which trig function you use, and then you have to set it up and solve it. Here's 50 degrees. You identify the given side. So it's like the given side, and then, so that's the first thing you identify. Identify the given side and the side you're trying to find. Okay, the given side, what is that from this angle? Which is that? Just blurt it out. Hypotenuse. And what side is this one from this 50? That is the opposite side. So we have opposite and hypotenuse. Now, which trig function do you use? Well, that would be the sine. So what we do, until you become a ninja master at this, I would write that the sine of an angle, this right here is called theta, by the way. That's the Greek letter theta, T-H-E-T-A, and I misspelled that, T-H-E-T-A. And it usually represents angle measurements. The sine of theta equals opposite over hypotenuse. Now we know what theta is. The sine of angle theta here in this case is 50. So we say the sine of 50 degrees equals something over something. So what are we going to call the opposite side? Well, we don't know what it is, so we'll just call it B, or whatever it is, whatever you choose to label it, because most of these will be word problems. The hypotenuse is 7, so we'll put that there. Okay, so we have now chose the proper one, we have set it up, and now we have to solve it. And what I always tell people is if the letter is on the top and the number's on the bottom like this, you multiply. So this is going to become 7, like the buttons you would have to push. I'll write that up here one time. 7 times the sine of 50 equals. And that would be the keystroke guide you would need to find that. But if the number's on the top, you're just going to multiply 7 times the sine of 50. And on a TI-84 or a TI-30X2S, it will just do that for you. So go ahead and try that. I'll pause. All right, so when you do this, you get the side B equals 5.36. We can call it 5.4 units long, or inches long. In this case, 5.4, and that makes sense. That's pretty proportional to the rest. If you got an answer bigger than 7, of course that wouldn't be right because the hypotenuse is the longest side. Now, a lot of people will ask when the first time they see this, why did you pick the sine? So let me go back over that. I picked the sine because I did this pink box right here. I identified two things, the given side and the side you're trying to find. From this angle here, the given side is the hypotenuse. The side I was trying to find is the opposite side, and the only one that has opposite and hypotenuse in it is the sine. Okay? The only one. So that's that. Now, I know that's a little shaky the first time you see that, and that's pretty normal. Well, let's look at a problem like this. Here we have a ladder leaning against the side of a building. And let's say that it's a 10-foot ladder, so that's 10 feet. And according to code, you're supposed to have a ladder have an angle here of, say, 30 degrees. 30 degrees. I am just making that up because I don't know the actual code. I probably should. But let's say it's 30 degrees. And I want to know, well, okay, if it's 30 degrees, then how far away from the wall, here do I need to put this ladder? Well, that's a pretty easy thing to figure out if you know trigonometry. Otherwise, it's next to impossible. Okay, so let me put my cheat sheet up here. SOHCAHTOA. And we will go through that process of the pink square on the other box. We're going to identify the side that's given from this angle. This is my angle theta here. That's theta. The side that's given is the hypotenuse. So we have the hypotenuse and the side we're trying to find. What side is that, class? That's the adjacent side. This would be the opposite side over here. This is the adjacent side. So which one has the hypotenuse and the adjacent in it? The cosine. Once we figure that out, we start with the formula. The cosine of theta is adjacent divided by hypotenuse. Adjacent divided by hypotenuse. All right. Now let's plug things in that. Well, cosine of, now what would go here? 30 degrees, that's where your angle goes. This is theta for the angle. Adjacent would go, we don't know that, so up here we'll put x for that since we labeled it x here. And the hypotenuse, what would we put down here? 10 feet. So this would be just about like the other example. I have a letter on the top, so I would take 10 times the cosine of 30. That's 10 times the cosine of 30 equals. And let's all do that. We can just hit our buttons. Times cosine 30. And you should get something around 8.66. Is that right? 8.66 feet. And there you go. You guys have a good one. There will be a lot more following this, but this is your out of the gates trig problem to start you with. See ya.